肩の荷は下りないこびりつく地層のようにライト感ヘビーかい中そんな遠いもんな着物に対岸の価値なのにその身を削るほど姑息なる喫煙者の思い込みディセピいっそ彼を伝え枝分かれ無重力状態いつか訪れ特別な瞬間浮遊してもまだ I gotta say むき出す愛とへと駆け出す二頭へと孤独を悟る隙間は痛いけど何回だって知ったって何回だって立ち上がって上昇して落ちる速度には神を任せてるんだぜ
Alright, what is up everyone? Welcome back to Muv-Luv Alternative. Tonight we're going to be doing our... Well, we graduated from beta school, now we're going to go ahead and be doing our simulated hive run? Upon probably a few other things. The plot's been absolutely going berserk, so hopefully you guys have had a good night. Let's go ahead and hope that nothing too bad happens tonight. That's probably... there's always something going on in Takaru.
1983年、極秘裏に次期第三世代主力戦術機の独自開発を決定。
So in 1983 they began secretly developing their own series of third generation TSS.
川崎重工、富岳重工、三菱重工の3社共同計画として開始させた。
Kawasaki, Fugaku, and Mitsubishi, definitely not Mitsubishi, were contracted to collaborate on this project.
当時、激震のライセンス生産から第一世代機の基礎技術を習得していた各社は、すでに上大将の発注で82年に髄核などの F4 改造機を開発していたが、
All three had been licensed to manufacture Kakishins, and so they were familiar with the first generation tech. They had even developed their own variation of the F4, which was known as the Zukaku for Shogunate request in 1982.
1世代飛び越しての第3世代機開発は帝国軍の要求仕様の高さもあって、装甲や手記の開発などがかなり難航した。
But making the leap from first to third generation was no easy task. They had to redesign everything from the armor to the engine, partly in response to high spec demands. No wonder. Each successive generation uses totally different design concepts. The difference between the first and third is just staggering. The first generation were more like armored land vehicles than anything, but as time went on, advances in technology paved the way for more maneuverable aerial TSFs that we see today.
そこで国防省は89年、第2世代機の傑作 F15 イーグルの試験導入を開始。
So in 1989, the Ministry of Defense began importing the second generation powerhouse known as the F-15 Eagle on a trial
同機の
basis.
ライセンス生産をすることで第2世代機を徹底研究し、
Yeah, we do.
開発可能な第3世代機の設計に着手。
Not to put you on the spot, but if you were to go ahead and make one, I would definitely add it up to the emote list. That goes the same for anyone. If anyone wants to go ahead and make an emote, just please send it to me, and I'll send you the specs and stuff like that. There's weird kind of specs behind it. But any of you guys that are good at Photoshop or any sort of graphic design, if you have your own idea for an emote, just please let me know, and I'll definitely throw it in there. That would be absolutely epic if you can go ahead and do that. Yeah, I would definitely add up whatever emotes you saw fit. I really like the Delete Amoncus one, so if we wanted to go ahead and throw in a Sumika one, anything like that, that would be heavenly. I'll go ahead and I'll DM you the specs after the stream. By procuring a license to manufacture them ourselves, we were able to get underneath the hood and use that technology as a base from which to develop our third generation machines. So we kind of straight up stole America's ideas. To be fair, I guess all innovation comes from tinkering with existing technology to make modern needs. I guess weapons would probably not be any too different.
そして1994年2月、量産1号機が帝国軍技術
I think the school arc is only 3 days, right? So this should be the last lecture.
準国産戦術機としてデビューした。
So then in 1994 February, the IJF R&D unit started rolling out the first mass production model. We gotta get a whole emote list. Maybe I should do like a poll on Give me a second. We're gonna go ahead and do something special here. Give me a second. Such as, I guess, hearing myself talk. Hold on. I'm gonna go ahead and make a Google form right now, and I want all of you guys to go ahead and vote on which characters you want to see for the emote list. Sorry to go ahead and do this in the middle of the stream, but I think what better now time than any. I'll go ahead and choose the top 2 characters that you guys like. If there was any way multiple choice, we're going to go ahead and do short answer. I'm not going to go ahead and require any sort of login or anything like that. Don't need emotes, nothing like that. I'm going to go ahead and just send via link. Perfect. You guys want to go ahead and vote on whatever characters. Top 2 will go ahead and get it. There should be the Google form that I just absolutely came up with right now. On the spot work here. Love to see it. Okay, we have our first response. Cool. So anyways, top two characters will go ahead and get an emote. I'll either go and pay for it and have someone do it, or if any of you guys want to go ahead and do it, either one would be absolutely awesome. Also, September. It's the end of September. I'm going to try and get these up then ASAP, so that way hopefully if you guys want to go ahead and use them on any sort of stream, subs are 30% off right now. I really wish there was a way I can just give you all the emotes for free, but I guess Twitch doesn't like that. They don't get their shekels, so sorry about that. But if you guys, anyone joins in, wants to go ahead and fill out that Google form, that would be awesome. We can go ahead and choose a... the first Japanese Imperial TSF, but I mean, if we're going to be technical, doesn't that just title go to straight to the Fubuki? The Fubuki was essentially just a souped up F-15, right? Created to serve as a test model for some sort of the technology that was being developed for the Shiranui. After the Shiranui was completed... Oh, hold on. After the Shiranui was completed, the Fubuki was repurposed into a training model. The parts for the Shiranui that weren't mass-produced until after that, so it took another 3 years to get them in circulation. Maybe I'm just being defensive since I'm so used to the Fubuki, but I do kind of feel like it gets overlooked. I suppose it should make sense, though, not to include the prototype. Since the Fubuki is just a training model, I guess that really does make the Shiranui the first real Japanese TSF.
日本の帝国大学案に決定し、99年にはその本拠である横浜基地への提供装備として納入が開始されている。
I'm gonna go ahead and post that link also on the account's Twitter page. Hopefully we can go ahead and get some people. Maybe if they missed tonight, so I could still vote on it. I'll tally up the votes for the emotes tomorrow night, and then we'll go ahead and I'll submit the requests. In 1999, the Japanese government... Ow, cat! Not again. In 1999, the Japanese government began supplying them to Yokohama base following the acceptance of the Imperial University's proposal for Alternative 4.
これはオルタネイティブ計画本部の建設資金や装備、そして人員のほとんどを現地政府が提供するという通例に従ったものだ。
I only have one cat. He has his eye back now. It has been healed. This was an adherence to the precedent set by the previous alternative projects in which a majority of funds, equipment, and personnel were provided by the host country's government.
さて、ざっとではあるが、これが我が部隊の主力装備である94式戦術歩行戦闘機、白縫の大まかな開発経緯だ。
Let me go ahead and post it to the channel's account real quick. Alright, perfect. And that concludes our brief overview of the history behind the Type 94 Shiranui, which is our unit standard issue TSF. Any questions? Not really. I'm just surprised the Americans allowed us to develop our own TSFs. Like May said, the US was pretty much treating Japan like a puppet state. There's no way their intelligence agencies weren't aware, no matter how secret its development
仮
was.
想敵国だったソ連と中国が対ベータ戦で消耗してしまったことで、アメリカの国防戦略がヨーロッパ防衛にシフトしていたことが大きいだろう。
I'd imagine it has a lot to do with the fact that the biggest adversaries, the Soviets and the Chinese, were all but wiped out by the Beta, allowing them to shift their focus to the defense of Europe.
73年にカシュガルに出現して以来、ベータはずっと推進し続けていたからな。特に83年当時は西ヨーロッパが主戦場になりつつあった時期でもある。
Oh, that's, of course, the Black Marks timeline. After all, the Beta have been advancing steadily west ever since they emerged from Kashgar in 1973. You know, there was even a period in the 80s in which Western Europe was effectively the main front of the
その
war.
ためアメリカはアジア各国には大量に兵器を渡して自力防衛させ、在外アメリカ軍はヨーロッパに移動させていたんだ。
In response, the US began supplying Asian countries with more and more weapons, leaving us to fend for ourselves while they moved their forces into Europe. I
その
see.
行動がアジア圏からのアメリカ軍完全撤退の噂を呼んで、各国は F4 や F5 といったアメリカ製戦術機を国家予算をフルに使って導入していったというわけだ。
This led many to falsely believe that the US forces had completely withdrawn from the Asiatic sphere, and many countries began spending all their military budget on importing American-made TSFs like the F4 and the F5. Wow, the US hit the jackpot. Gotta hand it to them. They tend to cover all their bases when it comes to international strategy.
その金が対ベータ兵器の開発につぎ込まれたのも事実だ。
However, the fact remains that those funds went directly to the development of new anti-beta
それ
weaponry.
によって生み出された兵器がベータの進行を停滞させているという現実を見れば、アメリカの利益という側面だけを強調するのは不公平だろ。
And considering these weapons are what halted the beta's advance, it wouldn't be quite fair to say the Americans just took the money and
カシュガル
ran.
のベータが本格的な南進を開始するのが84年、東進開始は90年という時間差を考えれば、結果的にアメリカの読みは正しかったということだ。
The Kashgar beta began moving south in 1984, then east in the 90s. Given how far apart these developments were, America made the right move in retrospect. Oh, I guess so. There's no predicting the beta's next moves. So far from the facts alone, you'd have to admit that the US made a keen analysis of the situation, and the global strategy was spot on. What if the beta had moved both west and east at the same time? What would they have done then? Probably would have left Asia to fend for itself, I'm
他に
guessing.
何かあるか。
Any other questions? No, I don't
で
think
は
so.
次に進むぞ。第三世代機について少し触れておく。
Then let's continue. I'll touch briefly on the third generation of TSF. Alright.
一口に第三世代機といっても様々な機体が存在する。
There are several different models that fall under the third generation
帝
category.
国軍の白縫と吹雪、帝国近衛軍の竹三日槌、アメリカ軍のラプターにペレグリン、アベンジャー。
These include the IJF Shiranui and Fubuki, the IRG's Takami Kazuchi, the US's F-22 Raptor, the F-35 Peregrine, and the A-12 Avenger.
ヨーロッパ連合軍のタイフーンとラファール、アラスカソビエト軍のジュラーブリクとベルクート。
Alaskan Soviet forces? Did Russia not give up Alaska in this timeline? As well as the EU's EF-2000 Typhoon, that's an actual real jet. And the Alaskan Soviet forces S-37 Zhuravlik and Bearcut. So the Soviets developed their own models after evacuating to Alaska, as the EU did, being forced back to England and Greenland. Though I'm sure they used the American TSFs as a base to build off of. All of us did.
これらはすべて第三世代機ではあるが、それぞれに要求される想定任務により、その特徴も機体仕様も全く異なる。
While these are all considered third generation models, they're designed to tackle different kinds of missions and all sports unique specs as well as structural designs. Yeah, that's for sure. Those Raptors we fought had insane cruising speed and were really hard to spot on the radar. It's pretty clear they were designed for human versus human combat. America is clearly thinking ahead to what will happen once the Beta are all gone.
だが、これら第三世代機に分類される機体には共通する特徴が3つある。
But regardless of country, there are three things that all these things have, these third generation TSS have in
統合
common.
情報戦術分配システムへの対応、 オペレーションバイライトシステム、そして高い機動性だ。
Ow. Sorry. They're compatible with JTIS, are equipped with operation by light systems and have exceptional
統
mobility.
合情報戦術分配システムとは、戦術機から歩兵に至るまで即時情報共有を可能とするいわゆる戦域データリンクシステムだ。
The Joint Tactical Information Sharing System, JTIS, provides a framework for instantaneous sharing of intel between all units, from TSFs to infantry. It's known as your data link.
これについては今更説明の必要はないな。
I shouldn't have to explain that, right? Right.
オペレーションバイライトは A 氏の操縦操作および思考統計を光信号に変換して
What the hell?
光ファイバーケーブルを介し、コンピューターによって機体を統合制御するシステムだ。
Operation by Light is a system that turns the pilot's thought patterns and control inputs into light signals and then communicates them to the TSF computers via fiber optic cables.
光ファイバーの採用によるメリットは、高速大容量の情報伝送、小型軽量化、対電磁干渉と防火性の向上などが挙げられる。
Fiber optic cables are not only able to transmit more data at higher speeds, they're also incredibly lightweight and more resistant to electromagnetism and heat damage.
また第2世代機の特徴であるオペレーションバイワイヤの電線と比べてメンテナンス性も格段に向上している。
Also, they're far easier to maintain than the electric wires used in the operation by wire centers of second generation
そして
TSFs.
電線では実現できない高い対電磁干渉性は、将来的に家電粒子砲が配備される際には必須と言える性能だ。
Plus, we're going to need that high electromagnetic resistance in the future when we start equipping TSFs with particle beam cannons. Particle beam cannons? They're in development?
将来的な話だと言ったろう。今言えるのはそれだけだ。
In the future.
話を戻すぞ。
That's as specific as I could be. Let's get back on track. Okay. If it wasn't mentioned already being worked on, she wouldn't have mentioned it as a benefit. It's safe to say they could be used in the near future. This old me would totally fanboy over something like this. It sounds like it could be out of Valgaron. But now all I can think about is how I sure as hell don't even envy the guy who has to test out these new and unproven
オペ
techs.
レーションバイライト導入による小型軽量化と情報転送の高速大容量化は、第3世代機最大の特徴である高い機動性にとって必要不可欠なものだ。
With their lightweight composition and faster transmission speeds, these OBL systems are a key component of what makes the new generation such an improvement. That's increased
ま
mobility.
た新素材の開発によって軽量化された耐熱耐暖複合装甲と対レーザー蒸散塗膜加工技術も機体の機動性向上に大きく貢献している。
Other factors that would contribute to this greater mobility include the use of newer lightweight materials in our heat-resistant anti-ballistic composite armor, and the development of the ablative anti-laser
重
coating.
装甲の第1世代機に比べ第2世代機は耐熱耐暖装甲を主要部に限定することで高い機動性を確保したが、
While the second generation was able to gain mobility over the tank-like first generation by only using the composite armor on the most critical components,
第3世代機はさらに装甲そのものを軽量化し、機体各部の連動性と柔軟性、即応性や生存性を大幅に向上させた。
the third generation made the armor itself more lightweight, making the TSS more responsive and flexible. In terms of both survival rates and overall adaptability, massive improvement.
ところで白金、貴様が訓練で使っていた吹雪には
Oh, by the way, how many arms were on the Fubuki you trained with? How many arms? The 2 main arms, 2 auxiliary arms, and the blade sheaths. The sword and rifle mounts count too? Probably not the sword mount, but you could use the rifle to shoot behind you from a prone position. Is that an arm? It should be 6.
ほう、正解だ。貴様はこの辺りの座学をスキップしているのによくわかったな。
Impressive, you're
榊たちは
right.
おおむね4本と答えたぞ。
Surprised, considering you skipped past the lessons on this. Most of your old squad mates answered 4. It's not impressive, I just
直
counted.
接数えたのか。なるほど。貴様は整備実習に相当な力を入れて臨んだようだな。大したものだ。
You counted? Well, someone paid close attention during maintenance training. I don't think the two are related, but okay. I'm pretty sure anyone could sit down and just count.
まあいい。貴様の言う通り、戦術機には6本の腕がある。主兵装を装備するメインアームと上腕部にあるナイフを収めたシース内にあるアシストアーム。
Well, regardless, as you said, TSS have 6 arms. The main one's used to wield ornaments, the pair of auxiliary arms within the sheath.
それに剣部の装甲シールドを支えるサブアームが1組。計6本だ。
And the pair of subarms that support the shoulder armor. Total of 6. What? The shoulder armor? Like the armor blocks? Tama took those off when she shot down the HSST. I didn't realize there were subarms
なん
in
だ
there.
変な声を出すんじゃない。
What? I hope there's a reason you're interrupting. I'm sorry, I just said I'd been counting the assault cannon pylons as
なる
arms.
ほど。そういう言い方も確かにできるな。
I guess you could make an argument to that effect. I mean, you could still move and fire the cannon when it's mounted to the pylons. I thought that'd be enough to
だが
qualify.
それを言ったら跳躍ユニットを保持するアームを数に入れないのは変だろう。
Perhaps, but if you count those, wouldn't you also have to include the arms that hold the jump unit together? You're
同
right.
様に腰部の装甲シールドを保持しているアームも
Or
あ
the
るぞ。
arms that hold your hip armor in place.
それらもある意味腕には違いないが、戦術機の腕といったら機体側にその動力系が存在しないものは数えないのが通例だ。
Those are certainly arms in some sense of the word, but we generally don't count something as an actual TSF limb unless it gets power from the TSF itself. Guess I never realized there were arms holding that in place. I could have sworn they were all firmly attached to the
肩
TSF
や腰
body.
の装甲シールドを固定したら腕と足の可動範囲を制限してしまうからな。
Having the shoulder and hip armor in fixed positions would limit the mobility of the TSF's main limbs. You're right.
各部の装甲シールドは腕や足、場合によっては頭部や上半身の動きと連動してそれらに干渉しないように統合制御されているんだ。
All of the armor in your TSF automatically adjusts itself in tandem with the movements of your arms, legs, head, and torso to avoid interfering. That's incredible. I knew they could move around, I just didn't realize that much. Most of our maintenance training focused on the cockpit, so we didn't really work out on any of those
思考に
parts.
伴う帯電圧や脳波のデータが蓄積すればするほど戦術機の動きが滑らかになっていくのはそのためだ。
This is also the major reason as to why your TSF movements can grow noticeably smoother as you accumulate more and more physical and mental data. I see. So the more thought patterns a TSF references, the better it can be to predict movements, which allows the armor to adjust itself preemptively. Captain, what does the number of arms have to do with the third gen CSF
各世
mobility?
代間に腕の数の差はない。今しているのは簡単に言えば作用と反作用の話だ。
All generations have the same number of arms. What we're talking about now is the law of action and reaction.
戦術機の機動性に直結する機体総重量の多くを剣部装甲シールドが占めているのは知っているな。
You know that the shoulder armor accounts for a huge chunk of a TSF's overall weight, directly impacting the mobility, right? Yeah.
それほど重くて大きなものをわざわざ肩に装備する理由は主に3つある。
There are three main reasons as to why we bother slowing you down with something so large and
まず
heavy.
第一に敵の攻撃からセンサーやコクピットなど最重要部を防護するために分厚い装甲が必要であること。
First, because you need thick armor to protect your most vulnerable areas from enemy attack. There's sensors in the cockpit. I know that much. Statistically, more TSFs are taken by an upper body hit than anything
次
else.
にメインアームおよび上半身の運動に対するカウンターウェイトもしくはバランサーとしての機能。
Next, because they act as a counterweight for the movement of the main arms and upper body.
そして最後に重心位置を高くすることで機体の静安性を打ち消し運動性を
Finally,
高めるためだ。
because a higher center of gravity destabilizes the TSF and increases its maneuverability. Right, TSFs are made to tip over easily in order to be as mobile as possible, and use electronic systems to maintain that
軽
stability.
量装甲材の採用によって機体総重量が大幅に軽減され機動性が向上したことはすでに説明したが
As I mentioned earlier, the usage of lighter materials in TSF armor led to a drastic reduction in overall weight, and a considerable increase in
総
mobility.
重量の多くを占める剣部装甲シールドの軽量化はサブアームやメインアームを含む上半身の反応速度を飛躍的に向上させる結果となった。
But the lighter shoulder armor in particular produced dramatic improvements in the reaction speed of the upper body, including the main and subarms. I see. Now I understand what we're talking about
何が分かっ
arms.
た？言ってみろ。
Let's hear it then. Operation by lighted advancements in avionics might be a huge increase to TSF's overall reaction speed, but it would be pointless if subarms holding up these heavy shields are too slow. At a certain point, the main limbs will just be moving too fast, they collide with the armor and limit range of motion. That said, making the shoulder armor any less bulky would throw off the overall weight distribution and decrease mobility, also being exposed. Same logic applies to the main limbs. Obviously, you don't want them to be too heavy because then you'd have a ton of recoil every single time that you swung them.
その通りだ。貴様はいろいろと独自に調べているようだな。兵士として
That's
良い
correct.
心がけだ。
Sounds like you've certainly done plenty of research on your own. You got that right attitude. Thank you. To be fair, that's only because I've got more experience with TSFs than the rest of my
軽量化
squad.
装甲とオペレーションバイライト、そして効率化された高出力エンジン。
In
第三世代機
conclusion,
の驚異的な機動性は
the third...
特に
Oh
新世代機
man.
は
The third generation owes its excellent mobility to a combination of three things. Light armor, low operation by light systems, and more efficient engines with higher horsepower. Newer models in particular tend to have weight distributions that give them a higher center of gravity. Yeah, all the latest models have super shoulder blocks, and while the lower half is kept nice and slim. Even if you upgraded an older model to match modern specs, it wouldn't be the same. They were never designed to have such a fundamentally top-heavy weight distribution.
先日のクーデター事件の際に実際に各世代機と戦っているだろう
You fought with TSS for multiple generations during the recent coup. What impressions did you get from the way each one moved? I remember that the Shiranui seemed totally outmatched by the F-22, or by Takumi Kazuchi's within close quarters. I know piloting skill had a lot to do with it though, but what struck me the most is when an F-22 lost to a Shiranui. It was on a one-on-one and I genuinely got shocked. I know it can go both ways, but I know how insanely powerful Raptors are, and this one was being piloted by an American unit commander.
見たわけではないので何とも言えないが、新鋭機の性能をフルに引き出せなかった。
I can't say much because I didn't see it, but it's possible he didn't know how to take the full advantage of his abilities.
カタログスペックでラプターはシラヌイをはるかに上回ってるはずなんだ。A 氏の連度と機体完熟の差が出た。
The F-22A Raptor does have far better specs than the Shiranui, so I'm guessing it boiled down to a difference in piloting skill or a lack of proficiency. I see.
他に思い当たるのは根本的な要因だが、帝国軍とアメリカ軍の
The only other thing that comes to mind would be the way it traces back to a fundamental difference in ways the IJF and the US military each deal with the beta. What?
アメリカ軍の配備攻略は G 弾の運用を基本としている。ベータと近接戦を行うのはあくまで非常に
The Americans will always try to use a G bomb to bomb the hell out of a hive before anything else. They see close quarters combat as a last resort.
だからといって近接戦訓練を極端に軽視していることはないだろうし。
That doesn't mean that they neglect it or that they're considerably weaker. I see what you mean. The American service pilots were tough, but they didn't have any swords on them. They were not expecting to go into melee range.
自国内に配備が存在しないアメリカと日本では戦術そのものや近接戦に対する A 氏の切迫感に差が出るのは
you know, superior firepower from the range seems to be the correct method. I can't imagine going CQC with a beta. Unlike Japan, there are no hives in America. It makes sense that they wouldn't use the same tactics on us, and they'd be less prepared for CQC. There's no way Japan can recover if we can't get rid of that hive, so we're gonna have to infiltrate it sooner or later. There's a high chance that any of us could get assigned to that mission. That's reason enough for our surface pilots to take their combat training incredibly seriously, especially if they've heard any rumors about their survival rates.
そういった意識の差、アメリカ軍と我々の基本戦略の差は戦術機の装備にも現れている。
That fundamental difference in the way we think, the way we construct our strategies, you could see that in how we equip TSFs. Really? I didn't notice any huge differences other than the fact they didn't have melee
国連
blades.
軍をはじめ日本や各国の軍では突入作戦を行う部隊の戦術機には S11 という高性能爆弾が装備される。
The UN military, like the IJF and most other militaries, equips all TSS bound for infiltration with a high-yield explosive known as the S11. S11? I can't say that I've heard of it.
名目上では突入部隊が背部の心臓部である反応炉を破壊するための装備ということになっているが、
Its official purpose, on paper anyway, is to be attached and detonated upon the hive's
実
reactor.
際には背部内の戦闘で生還の見込みがなくなったと判断した場合に使う自決用の装備だ。
But in reality, it's mainly meant to serve as a self-destruct button that pilots use whenever trapped inside of a hive with no hope of making it out alive. You're kidding, right? We have a self-destruct button?
知っての通り、背部突入作戦は極めて生還率の低い任務だ。
As you already know, hive infiltration missions have lower survival rates than just about everything
作
else.
戦が失敗し、生還不能となった兵士たちを待っている者は、機体ごとベータに食い殺されるという結末だけだ。
When the plan's fallen apart and there's no hope for escape, it's only a matter of time until you're eaten alive, TSF and all. I know that all too well. I have no right to say that. It must be 100 times worse than anything I've ever been through.
自決装置の存在が、その恐怖と絶望を一瞬で消し去ることを保証してくれる。
And that self-destruct button gives you a
しかもそ
guaranteed
の死が
escape route.
必ず意味あるものになることを約
One
束し
that'll
てくれ
wipe
るん
away
だ。
all the horror and despair instantaneously. And it also ensures you'll take some of them with you. So you won't die in vain.
奴らの頑強な反応炉を S11 単発で破壊することはできない。だが、その機能を停止させる程度の破壊力はある。
Beta reactors are far too tough to be destroyed by a blast of a single S11, but it'll be enough to deactivate a reactor.
反応炉にたどり着かなかったとしても、S11 の爆発によって 内部構造に少なからずダメージを
And
残すは
even
ず
if
だ
you weren't to reach the reactor, an S-11 explosion would deal a significant amount of damage to a hive's internal
たとえ
structure.
今回の作戦が失敗しても、突入を繰り返すことでハイブの機能を徐々に奪い、いつの日にか必ず機能停止に追い込む。
Any given operation may fail, but you could at least rest assured that after a certain number of infiltration attempts, the hive will be in such bad shape it stops
自
functioning
分の死が
entirely.
その結果につながることを、無駄死にではないことを彼らは知っている。
When you're a pilot, it means a lot to know your death will have a purpose. It directly contributes to our
そし
victory.
て将来人類が勝利し、戦友や愛する者たちが平和に暮らせるようが必ず来るのだと信じて、兵士たちはハイブに
So
突
when we
入する。
infiltrate a hive, we do so with the firm belief that one day humanity will win the war and our comrades and loved ones will be able to live in peace.
だから彼らは皆生還不能が確定した時点で出口ではなく、
Which is why we understand, if there's no hope of making it out alive, we don't search for an escape. We just go to the
ア
core.
メリカ軍の戦術機にはそういう類の装備は一切ない。理由は繰り返しになるが、ハイブ攻略は G 弾の使用が前提となっているからだ。
American TFSFs, on the other hand, have no devices installed. That is because, as I've already mentioned, their strategy for dealing with hives is to shower them with G-bombs. Right.
これまで何度も行われてきた突入作戦で目的を達成したものは一例もない。横浜ハイブ攻略も結果として G 弾によるところが大き
Keep
か
in
った。
mind, though, that we've yet to successfully pull off a single infiltration. There's no way we could have captured the Yokohama hive if we hadn't resorted to
そう考
G-bombs.
えればアメリカ軍の基本戦略の方が正しいと言えないこともない。
So from that standpoint, the Americans have the right idea. I hate to admit it, but yeah, I've had the same
た
thought
だ
too.
ベータに勝てばよいというのであればその通りだな。
If it was just a matter of wiping out Beta, it's the definite way to go.
だが G 弾の使用後に残るのは人が住めない焦土だけだ。
The problem with G-bombs is that the entire area surrounding them is an uninhabitable wasteland. Uninhabitable. But don't the Beta just do the same thing?
貴様も箱根で見なかったか？理由はわからないが、ベータ
That
に
is
占
kinda
領さ
weird,
れてい
champ.
た地域にも自然が残っている場合が
You saw what it was like in Hakone, didn't you? There's definite places where once Beta under control, nature has still been left completely intact, but no one knows why. You know, I did notice
た
that.
とえ自然がやられていても、そこにベータがいなければ不便はあっても人は住
Even
む
in places where all plant life was eradicated, people can still reclaim the land once the Beta are
そしてい
gone.
つの日か自然も回復するだろう。
And then things will return to their natural ecosystem.
G 弾が投下された一帯は
The
違う。
same's not going to be said about an area hit by a G-bomb. What?
核兵器のような放射能汚染こそないが、演習場や市街地を見ればわかるように植生が回復しないんだ。
Unlike with nukes, there's no fallout, but natural vegetation will never return, as you've noticed. What? But what about trees?
あれは土塁の保護と基地要員の保養という名目で植樹されたものだ。
Planted under the pretense of improving troop morale. What? Hang on, are you saying under the pretense? Is there a different
詳
reason?
細はわからないが、本当の目的は G 弾被爆土壌が動植物に及ぼす
I don't know
長
the
期的影
details,
響の研究が目的
but
ら
I've
しい。
heard the real reason was to study the long-term effects of G-bomb radiation on nearby flora
そして
and
こ
fauna,
の基地にいる私たちも当然
which would mean all of us are test subjects too. That would include Yuko. She's participating
G
voluntarily?
弾は健康な土地を半永久的な重力異常地帯に変えてしまう。
G-bombs give rise to gravitational anomalies that once rendered once healthy land completely sterile,
そして
perhaps
それが
permanently.
人体に及ぼす長期的影響がどういうものなのか
This is
は
also
誰にも
interesting,
わからない。
and no one knows what the long-term effects it could have on the human body.
国連がアメリカの対ベータ戦略を認めない理由は、この基地が提供するデータがあるからなんだ。
The reason the UN doesn't condone America's anti-beta strategy is because that's what they've seen from what they've gathered from the space. Meaning the negative effects must be so bad they could already tell how dangerous it is from the data alone. Yuko, the captain, and the other higher-ups are still here, fully aware. Has everyone on the base been made aware of this information and chosen to stay and fight
デ
regardless?
ータが公表されているわけではないが、知り得る情報を組み合わせて考えれば誰でもわかることだ。
The data hasn't been officially publicized, but anyone could piece it together from the information that's readily available. True. Every soldier knows we use G-bombs to take out the hive here, and it's been a year since then and there's no grass in sight. It's obvious the two have a relation. And knowing how dead set these people are on fulfilling duty, it's a stupid
G 弾
question.
の使用を阻止することは、オルタネイティブ4を完遂するという私たちの目的にも合致する。
Preventing any further use of G-bombs is part of what we aim to achieve by completing Alternative 4. By preventing Alternative 5, of course. Alternative 5's plan to evacuate a small fraction of humanity to ensure survival of the species and then bombard the ever-loving hell out of the beta with G-bombs. So yeah, preventing that is part of the
たとえ
objective.
G 弾を使ってベータに勝利できても、人類にとって G 弾が第二のベータになりかねないという。
Even if the G-bombs allowed us to defeat the beta, the bombs themselves may pose just as great as a threat to our species.
それを誰かが証明しなければならないのであれば、
But that needs to be
私た
proven.
ちほど好都
And
合
we're
な
the
存
most
在は他に
convenient
ないだろう。
possible guinea pigs, right? You know, there's no such thing as an easy way out in this world. Everyone does their duty no matter what the personal cost. Even Miss Kiyozuka's fighting in her own
私
way.
は正面ゲート前の坂にある桜並木が好きだ。
I really like the cherry blossom trees that line up the road, though.
重力以上で開花は無理だと言われていた桜が今年の春満開になったんだ。
They told us from gravitational anomalies that they would never bloom, but these past spring, they
私
did.
はその命の力に感動し、
I was moved by that
とても勇
vitality.
気づけられた。
It gave me
死
strength.
の荒野となったこの地に植樹されながらたくましく根付き、花を咲かせる命の力。
Here they were planted in a wasteland, but by sheer force of will, they took root and
それ
flowered.
は恐ろしい
Awe-inspiring.
ほど美しく、
A beautiful sight to behold.
命とはとても素晴らしいものだ。だからこそ愛し、
Life is a miraculous thing. It deserves to be cherished and kept safe from
だが
harm.
私たちは自らの命を愛しすぎてはいけない。そうでなければ
However, we must take care not to place too much importance on our own lives, otherwise we won't be able to protect those or others.
自ら血を流すことを厭い、そこから目をそらして安全保障を他者に委ねてしまい、
To be certain, those who avert their eyes from bloodshed and allow others to serve as their shield may walk an easier
だ
path
が
than we
そうな
do.
った場合、その他者にとって都合の良い状況に向かうのは当然であり、そこに乗っかった側が文句を言うことも
But that would also mean placing your fate entirely in someone else's hands, and if you don't like the ultimate outcome, then you'd have no right to complain. That sounds a lot like the relationship I had with Yuko before I ran away. My livelihood was dependent on her and I didn't even realize it. All I ever did was just whine about her
私
decisions.
にはこの地に眠る多くの御霊がそのことを伝えるために
I can't help but think that the fallen heroes laid to rest beneath those trees made those flowers bloom in order to remind us of that. I remember hearing that the surfer spots who gave their lives to retake the mainland were buried beneath those
私
trees.
たちはアメリカ人ではない。アメリカ以外は人が住めない土地になっても構わないという
We aren't the
戦略では
Americans. We
戦
can't
え
use
ない。
tactics that would make every tract of land outside of the NA uninhabitable. That's for sure. I'm not going to condemn everyone outside of the borders of my country to die. I came here to save the world, not a tiny
だ
piece
から
of
こ
it.
そ日本人であり国連所属である私たち自身が
And for this
自らG弾の
reason,
危険性を証明する意義は大きい。
as Japanese citizens and UN soldiers, we have a responsibility to demonstrate just how dangerous the G-bombs
そして
are.
現状最も有効である G 弾を使わずにベータに打ち勝つ代案を
And furthermore, we have to show the world that there's another answer to the beta threat, one that doesn't require the use of G-bombs, and that solution being Sumika, the 00
私
unit.
たちに課せられているものの重さが分かったか。
Do you understand the importance of our mission now? I do.
脇道にそれすぎたな。よし、今から10分間休憩とする。
Well, that was quite the
解
tangent.
散していいぞ。
Let's take a break. Feel free to go stretch your legs. Roger. The captain's from this area too, if I remember right. Certainly explains why she feels such a strong attachment to the cherry blossom
ところで、
trees.
自信のほどはどうだ？
So you ready for today? Ready for
午後
what?
のシミュレーター訓練だ。催眠療法の効果、一晩経って何か実感
The
できたか？
simulator training. You've had a night to process your hypnotherapy. Is it starting to kick in? Ooh, she is persistent about this. Like I said yesterday, I really don't know until we put it to the
そう
test.
だったな。まあ、効果がなければ別の手を考えればいい。
Of course. Well, if it doesn't work, we'll just have to try something else. Don't let it psych you out. Of course, but I think I'll be able to manage today.
結果が楽しみだな。
I see. I look forward to seeing you in action then. Thank you. Whether we get to get her in a proper working order or not, I'm still going to have to get in TSF and protect Sumika. So even if the hypnotherapy didn't work, I'll have to rise to the challenge through my own sheer force of will. Now, what should I get her? There's not exactly a ton of present options. Then what they do have is a function all over the fashion. They don't sell jewelry or knickknacks. I'm
何が
stumped.
だ
About? Maya, you guys finished your mock battle
そな
already?
たこそなんだ何故そんなに驚くのだ
Yeah, now why'd you jump like that? Is my voice that scary? No, you startled me. I guess I got lost in
そ
thought.
うかならばよいが
If you say so, I suppose. You alright? You look
い
upset.
やそのようなことはないが声をかけただけであそこまで驚かれて
No,
は
I
な
simply didn't expect you to respond so dramatically when I called out to you. Sorry. What's up?
いや元気そうで何よりだ タイに合流したかと思えばすぐにまた特殊任務であったからな。
Nothing. I'm just relieved to see that you are feeling well. I was somewhat concerned when they gave you yet another special mission so soon after rejoining the unit. Well, I'm used to it. And this one I volunteered for, so I can't complain.
当てつけがましく言いよっ
You
て。
make it sound as though as you would. I can't let this stuff drag me down. Especially not in front of Maya. I don't ever want her to see me act so pathetic
言
again.
っているそばから物憂げな顔
Come
を
on
見せ
now,
る
why
で
so
ない。
pensive?
まだまだ覚悟が甘いようだな。
It seems like you've yet to fully harden your resolve. It's not that, it's just I still feel terrible about what I did to you. I can't believe how mean I was. Threw you down trying to take my frustration
そ
on
の
you.
ことはもう良いと言ったであろう。
It's in the past now. Yeah, but I can't pretend it just didn't happen.
そなたそのようなことを考えていたのか。
So it's still weighing on your mind then. It
あ
is.
の時の私はそなたの支えになるのであればどうなろうと構わない。
At the time, I generally felt that I would not mind what you did to me as long as it would help you.
あ、いや、そうなることを望んでいたわけではないぞ。ことの流れと次第という意味でだぞ。
Not that I was hoping it would happen. I was just considered it based off of your recovery. You could at least let me down easy.
バカ者、あの状況で逃げ出された私の身にもなってみるがよいぞ。それほどにこの身は。
Imagine how I felt after you ran away. I mean, if you truly want it that badly... No, that was a joke. Please, don't take that the wrong way. It was uncalled for.
いや、私こそ許すがよい。とにかく、そういうことなのだ。
That was inappropriate. Sorry. You know what I mean anyways. I do.
心から覚悟を決めて臨んだことであれば、どうなろうと、己が責任であるからな。
Furthermore, I had already resolved myself to do whatever it took, so no matter what happened back there, I would have had no one to blame but myself. You are selfless to a fault, aren't
い
you?
や、正直に言えばあの時の私には、他になすす
Not
べ
at
がなか
all.
っただ
In
け
truth,
だ。
I was at my wit's end and legitimately felt there was no other option, nothing more. I was desperate myself. I'm embarrassed thinking about
薬
it.
物の多重投与と聞いている。致し方なかろう。
I know you on quite a few drugs. You were just not in your right mind. I don't think that excuses
それに
any.
ついてはもう十分贖罪は
But
済んでい
you've already
るで
been
あろ
dealt
う。
your due punishment. Yeah, and it hurt like
と
hell.
にかくもう気にするでないぞ。少なくともあの夜は何もなかったのだから。
In any event, there's no need to dwell on it. That night remained a nothing burger. Yeah, well, that was a bit heavy for small attack, but I guess I do feel guilty about what happened, so it keeps popping into my head. Not like I could help it. Although the fact we were able to joke about something like this might just go to show we're starting to move past it, like Marimo said. Someday we'll be able to look back on all this and laugh, so I've got to keep moving
た
forward.
ける、時間は大丈夫なのか？
Do you have someplace to be right now? Oh, no, not really. Next thing on my schedule is our simulator trading in the afternoon, so I'm
で
free.
は、立ち話もなんだ。
Want to grab a table and get some tea? Ah, sounds good to me. So what were we talking about before
そな
that?
たがほうけて私に驚いたことが始まりであったな。
If I remember correctly, we were discussing how you seemed scared of my voice. Oh, we strayed off topic. Guess it was bothering me more than I
ま
thought.
あよい。そのうち普通に戻るであろう。
No worries, you'll bounce back soon enough. Yeah, gotta live up to the surface pilot code and
そ
all.
の通りだ。死に慣れてはならんが、背負いすぎてもならん。
Precisely, just as we mustn't grow accustomed to death, we cannot allow the past to haunt us. That's a good rule to live
常
by.
に死と隣り合わせの日常で、人間らしく生きていくための知恵であろうな。
They are wise words, ones that allow us to lead normal lives despite knowing that death will always be on our doorstep. I really want to push myself to start following the code as soon as possible. Even now that I've found my resolve, I still feel myself wavering from time to
だから
time.
こそ、強制される流儀なのであろう。
Which is exactly why we've made an obligatory code of conduct, for sure. It's a lot easier to force a smile when I'm depressed if I could chalk it up to a rule I've got to
そうや
follow.
って戦いに身を投じながらも、徐々に笑いを見つけられるよう、強くなっていけばよいのだ。
When you could do that, it'll only be a matter of time before you could find the strength to smile even on the battlefield in the face of insurmountable
あの流
adversity.
儀は私たちにその時間を与えてくれるはずだ。
That code is what gives us the time we need to prepare ourselves, for sure. No matter how bad things might get, as long as you have the strength to grin and bear it, you could face that adversity head on. I guess some people are more resilient in that regard than others, but I have a lot of respect for those who can still crack a smile when the going gets rough. What were we talking about? I'm having trouble staying on topic.
このような雰囲気で話すのは久しぶりだからな。致し方なかろう。
It's been a while since we have a chance to sit down and converse. It was bound to happen. Good point. She's right. We haven't had a casual conversation like this since before the coup. Everything after that was kind of overshadowed by doom and
そ
gloom.
もそもそなたは PX で何をしていたのだ？
So what business did you have here in the first place? Just doing some
考
thinking.
え事？任務絡みなら聞くわけにはいかんが、協
Thinking?
力できることか？
Could I help you with it? If it's about your mission, they'll say no more. Well, I can't tell her what I'm thinking about doing to get Sumika as a Christmas present. I could just tell her flat out it's my mission, but then I'd feel bad because it makes it sound more serious. It's nothing important. I was just wondering what our squad's gonna do for Christmas. I mean, we are affiliated with the UN. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some religious types on the team. And if I could spin it in the way that involves the whole unit, it's a lot easier to broach the topic of Christmas
クリス
presents.
マスか。そればかりは私に聞かれてもな。
Christmas, huh? I'm afraid I can't be much help. I see. That figures. They never planned on doing anything for Christmas the previous timeline either. It wasn't until I brought it up that they even considered it. This world doesn't have time for frivolous stuff like that. It's actually pretty impressive how unmaterialistic people can be when it's all they've ever known. I'm glad we did it back then, though. Everyone had a blast setting it up. Even Tsukiyomi and the three idiots helped decorate. Then Miss Kyuzuka gave us snacks and refreshment, I think a little bit of alcohol. None of them had a clue what Christmas was like, so it was like a hybrid mess of New Year's and Tanabata. This is surreal. I mean, in some artistic circles, this might even be considered an avant-garde masterpiece. Here's some unlimited flashback here for you guys.
じゃあ最後にこれ。この短冊に願い事を書いてみよう。あ、そんな目で見るな。俺だってそれは七夕の話だってのは知ってるぞ。あやみねのやつがローカライズとか言って。
七夕は雨です。
おう、そうそう。メイヤもさ、どうせ好きに飾るんだから別にいいだろって。俺もそう思う。
はい。
だから何か願い事書いてみな。ほら、ペン。
何でもいいんですか？
ああ、何でもいいぞ。欲しいもの書いてもいいしな。あ、そうだ。お前、人参好きになるように。どれどれ？誰と？俺？
Looking back now, she was talking about Sumika. You're so sweet, Kasumi. I was surprised the base commander still let us do that. In retrospect, I guess he only allowed it because he knew Alternative 4 was being scrapped. Right after the party was over, Alternative 5, we got Alternative 5 and bombs were dropped all over us. But that's not going to happen this time. For the time being at least, the Alternative 5 supporters don't have a leg to stand on. There's none of that weird tension in the air anymore. But that won't last for long until we can beat the beta with Alternative 4. And to do that, I need to get Sumika back to normal. I tend to get pretty emotional when it comes to her, but now more than ever, I know it's important for me to keep calm and work through. Hello? Is it working now? OBS is registering that it's working. Is it working? Hoping that it's working. You guys can hear me. Okay, it started to work again. Cool. Sorry about that. Yeah, it got wrapped up in my... Well, when my cat hit it, I think it loosened it. And then it got wrapped up a little bit in my mouse, and then it just flew off. She told me it's important not to get completely rid of myself of emotion. And I empathize with Kasumi. Not the sort of stuff I was expecting to hear from her, but kind of a pleasant surprise. She might be trying to manipulate me, but I think it's a sign that she trusts me enough to lower her guard. Now that I know that she's been hiding that side of herself while still volunteering to do all the dirty work, I have a lot more respect for her, even if her attitude still gets me mad. For her sake and mine, I've got to bring Sumika back to normal. I can't afford to give up now.
つくづく思い知らされたぞ。
I hear you.
話の途中で堂々と物思いにふけるとは。やはりそなたにとって私は
The
興味の
fact that
対
you would
象
so
ではない
blatantly
のだな。
indulge in your own thoughts in the middle of a conversation speaks volumes of how little interest you have in me. What?
あそこまでしておきながら。
Perhaps that's why you changed your mind and ran away. Well, oh god, I'm sorry. We were talking about Sumika's present, right? Huh? I didn't mean to ignore you, I'm sorry.
いや、それは良いのだが。
No, it's alright. How long was I spaced out for? I am dropping the ball today.
スミカとは鏡スミカ
Oh,
のことか。
he slipped. When you say Sumika, Kagami Sumika? What? Where'd that come
今
from?
そなたが言ったのだ。
You said present for Sumika right now. Oh my god, it slipped out when I was
確
backpedaling.
かそなたの幼馴染の名であったな。
That was the name of your childhood friend, yeah? Oh, wow, you remember that?
何か分かったのか。
Did you find something out about her, huh?
いや、そなたが戻った夜、最前線でもう会えないと信じていた人に巡り会えたと
The
言
night
っ
you
ていた
returned
の
from
だ
the front
な。
lines, you told me you'd run into some people you never thought you'd see again. Oh, right. Yeah. At that time, I was still convinced Sumika didn't exist. I could theoretically talk about her, I guess, but anything that has to do with the 00 unit is classified. I'm gonna have to choose my words very carefully. I can't compromise anyone's safety.
ああ、いや、立ち入ったことを聞くつもりはないのだ。許すがよい。
Of course, now, not that I mean to pry. It's fine, you're right, I did get to see her again. If I try to cover it up now, it's gonna make her suspicious. But that's the most I could tell her. Sooner or later, the whole unit's gonna find out. But they don't need to know
そう
yet.
か。
Thanks for caring, though, it means a
本当
lot.
によかったな。そなたにとって大切な方なのであろう。
That's good to hear. I know she's important to you. Yeah, you could say that.
ごまかすでない。
You're not fooling anyone, what?
あの日の夜、その者と引き離されたことを嘆いて、そなたは泣き叫んでいたぞ。
You know the night that you first mentioned her, you were weeping at the thought of never seeing her again. What? When was this? Oh, that's so embarrassing.
それほどの思い人に再び巡り会えたのだ。もっと素直に喜
If
ぶ
only
が
she
よい。
knew how bad things really are. And at long last, you've been reunited with her. There's no need to hide the joy you must be feeling. Well, sure, I still got a hard road ahead of me, though.
戦時下であればそれも致し方なかろう。それすらも思いの強さで乗り越えてみせるがよいぞ。
That's just a given in times of war. But even still, if your feelings are true, you'll be able to overcome any obstacle life throws at you. I think so, too.
そうか。では、私はそろそろ行くとする。
Well, I'll be on my way then. See you after this afternoon. Sounds good. Sorry for spacing out.
気にするでない。
No need to apologize. Maybe I should get going. Oh, wait, there's still plenty of time left before training. I kind of figured it must have been getting to that time given how Maya took off. Christmas, huh?
なあ、この薄汚いのなんだっけ？犬？猫？
よかった取れただけだ。
なあ。
これはウサギさんだよ。それに薄汚いなんて言わないで。
汚ねえもんは汚ねえだろ？だいたい一年中サンタってなんだそりゃ。
じゃあ新しいの買ってくれる？
俺が？なんでだよ。
そう言うと思ったよ。
ま、好きにしろ。ところで話は終わってない。鍵よこ。
遅刻しちゃう。先行くね。
I wish I didn't remember that last part. Now my liver just hurts thinking about a Santa rabbit. Maybe there's something I could get like that for her. Now the only thing that comes to mind when I think about rabbits is that Cosme creep stuffed animal she carries around Mr. Bun. Wait. Did Cosme originally make Mr. Bun for Sumika? She could have gotten the idea from me or from her, and knowing Cosme's artistic prowess, it's bound to end up looking nothing like the original. She made that thing using an image she got from me, it's back to square one. If she got it from Sumika and made it directly for her, then that means Sumika must have actually liked rabbits in this timeline as well. If all Cosme got from her were bits and pieces, she'd have tons of memories about rabbits if that was her favorite animal. This could be a big lead. As soon as training gets out, I'm going to have to ask her. The only problem with the plan is how the hell would I even get a rabbit keychain? Maybe I could ask you to help find me one? I know your boy loves buying souvenirs on his trips overseas. I could see some place like America still having a decent toy industry. First order of business, Cosme. You know, I wonder if that guy's even alive. He vanished without a trace. He always did things his own way, and for some reason he didn't hesitate to resort to shady tactics. For some reason I can never bring myself to condemn him. And I do hope he's alive, especially for Makoto's sake. Gotta get going. I went through hypnotherapy, so I should be fine. I'm nervous to be back in the cockpit today, though. If I lose it again, I might be forced out of this unit altogether, and if that happened, no protection for Sumiko. What the hell am I thinking? I came back to this world for a reason. I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna be just fine. He's not gonna be fine. You all know the primary purpose for which TSS were developed, Sakaki? TSS were created as a three-dimensional combat tools that could excel in urban and mountainous areas, but especially inside of the hive. Yeah, I can kind of see that. I think Kaiki's a little bit more brooding, though. He just seems kind of weird champ. That's right, our ultimate mission as TSF pilots is to infiltrate and take control of an enemy hive. Oh, now that we have a few more people in the stream, I want to go ahead and put this in here. If you want to go ahead and fill this out, it'd be much appreciated. Starting today, we'll be doing training exercise meant to prepare you for in-hive combat, where teamwork is even more vital. Our first major objective is to get you all acquainted with each other's habits in a controlled environment. The second is to get the newbies a chance to get a feel for how their new combat-grade TSFs are going to handle, especially considering they're going to be arriving here in just a few short days. And finally, to show the newbies how a standard hive infiltration mission is going to play out. Our unit's ultimate objective is eventually going to require us to infiltrate more. Don't forget that we, as members of Unit A01, have been granted freedoms and luxuries that most would consider inconceivable in this day and age. Yeah, Muv-Luv, try and do Muv-Luv themed if possible. Wouldn't it be very grateful for us to get picked off left and right every time we step foot into a hive now, wouldn't it? But if you have any ideas like Final Fantasy related stuff, that'd be awesome too. We're gonna fight till you're all coughing up blood and every last hive is blown to smithereens. Prepare yourselves. All simulators are up and running. Alright, prepare Volk 03. Initializing. Once Tsumi is finished, you all get in and start the simulation. Questions? Captain, are we going to do this all at the same time? In the previous time, we can only use 2 of them at a time. Alright, you've been doing your special mission, so this will be the first time in the simulators. Right. That rule of only 2 assistants and an instructor per simulator only applies to cadets. When you're in a combat unit, there's no more hand-holding during simulator training. So anyways, yeah, if it's like a character or a certain reaction, anything like that would be perfect. Or character and reaction, that kind of stuff. It said we run through the pre-programmed scenarios based on real operations. That means that the simulation will continue even if one of you dies. Gotcha, so it's different than what I'm used to. We're a combat unit and a special task force. As a general, we don't go with easy missions. As you know, the key to success when fighting the beta is to ensure every member of a unit has the keen and analytical skills to adapt to any situation. In order to make that possible, we have to get a handle on what makes each other tick and learn to operate effectively. So that's why we gotta, it's a board that we train together. So, as crucial as your special mission may be, there's a good reason you've been forced to make time to participate in this
一度も
exercise.
ハイブ内戦闘を想定した訓練に参加していない者が部隊内に存在することこそが
Because if you've never participated in a single hive infiltration exercise with the rest of your unit, it puts all of us in danger for the real thing. Makes sense. Tuning a 00 unit is the top priority, but it's still going to be AO1's job to back her up. I'm guessing we're out to accompany Sumika during a practical assessment. I shouldn't be wasting my time thinking about Christmas presents. Because that means they're probably going to grade us on performance. If I can't work well, we're done. I was wondering why they'd pull me away from tuning or given this tight schedule, but now I know. Yuko told me that since I'm the one with the most intel, I'm going to have to be the one to make snap decisions and keep Sumika safe. Determination can't compensate for inexperience, though. No matter how strong my convictions are, or even how great my piloting skills, if there are some fights you can't win alone.
敵を知り己を知らば百戦危うからず今から約
That's a
2500年前
fantastic
中国
quote.
春秋時代の兵法家孫武が記したとされる孫子の兵法にある言葉だ
If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. Those words were written over 2,500 years ago by the Chinese strategist Sun Tzu in his book, The Art of War. 2,500 years ago, that's ancient. Talk or don't talk battle, that's one of my favorite books of all time.
人間相手の戦争を前提に考えられた兵法の中でベータとの戦いにも通用する貴重な例だぞ
Doesn't make it any less true, though it was written in context of human warfare. It's just as applicable to our fights against the beta, for
ベー
sure.
タを知る前にまず人類の力をそして自分の命を預ける戦友と己自身を知るところから始めるんだいいな
Before you know the beta, you must first come to know yourself, your fellow man, and the comrades you'll be entrusting your life with. Understood? Yes,
は
ma'am.
い準備完了しました
Alright, let's get it. Everything's ready to go.
いつでも始められるようにしておけ
Leave them on standby.
さて今回の実習理想を言えば廃部内環境を再現した演習場で実機訓練を行うべきだが
About today's
この地
exercise.
球上に存在しない
Ideally, we'd prefer to do this in an actual training area that replicates the inside of a hive, but there's nowhere on Earth that comes remotely close to it. Makes sense. While the Yokohama hive's still technically functional, it gives us pretty much gutted all the insights to make
こ
the
の
base.
実習で使われる教材は実際の突入作戦によって得られたデータをもと
So
に
this exercise is constructed based on data from a real infiltration. It's like the real thing. Well, duh. I guess there wouldn't be an exercise to it if it
この
wasn't.
教材を我々は敬意を込めてボールクデータと呼んでいる
This is known as the Volk data. Why?
このデータが23年前の東ヨーロッパ大反攻作戦の際人類史上初めてベータハイブに突入した戦闘部隊によって収集されたからだ
Because this data was obtained 23 years ago by the very first combat unit in human history to infiltrate a beta hive back during the Great Eastern European
東ヨ
counteroffensive.
ーロッパの大反攻
Operation
パレオロゴス作戦
Neptune.
でワルシャー条約軍と NATO 連合軍が約2ヶ月の激戦の後
This counteroffensive, Operation Paleologos, was spearheaded by NATO and the armies under the Warsaw Pact. After 2 grueling months, they managed to reach the ultimate objective, the hive and minks.
全ヨーロッパ連合軍を陽動
Not Poland.
ハイブ突入に成功したのがソビエト陸軍第43戦術機構師団ボールク連隊だった
As the rest of the European forces created a diversion, the Volk regiment of the Soviet Army's 43rd successfully succeeded at the infiltration of a hive. Volk, the name of the
当
regiment.
時の突入部隊の編成は F4 装備の27個小隊に加え戦闘車両240両機械化歩兵500名歩兵1800名
Wait,
工兵2000
I'm sorry. I thought that was wrong for a second. I'm thinking of way prehistory. Minsk is the capital of Belarus. The infiltration unit for this operation was composed of 27 flights of F-4 Phantoms, 240 tanks, 500 mechanized infantrymen, 1,800 foot soldiers, and 2,300 engineers. Foot soldiers? The tanks weren't enough? They sent infantry soldiers into a hive? Bro, that's terrifying. That's mad sus. That's a Soviet onion strategy right there. The only survivors were the 14 surface pilots. Yep. Of course, it was just TSF pilots. You don't stand a chance of surviving a hive infiltration outside of a TSF.
F4 のエレメントが30分ごとに最新データを持ってハイブを脱出する手はずだった
So the plan was to send not 2 F4 Phantoms out of the hive with the latest 8 every 30 minutes. So 2 TSF left every half hour and there's 14 survivors. They lasted 3.5
彼らは
hours?
現在の我々よりもはるかに劣る装備と機体でスタブの貴重なデータを持ち帰るという全人類に貢献する大偉業を成したんだ
They did humanity great service by bringing back crucial data on the inside of the stab, an achievement made even more impressive considering the vastly inferior TSFs of the time. They didn't even have self-destruct equipment back then.
これらソビエト軍軍人によって示された勇気を我々は忘れてはならない。勇気は一特定国民の所有物でも
We must never forget the courage displayed by these Soviet soldiers who could successfully run into a straight line down to the Earth's core. As they demonstrated heroism is not a quality unique to any nation. Yeah, and I'm sure the European forces in charge of the diversions had tons of casualties.
実際に背部に突入することなくシミュレーターで訓練できるのはボールク連隊将兵の英雄的挺身の結果なんだ。
It's thanks to the Volk Regiment's heroic sacrifice that we were now able to practice hive infiltrations
協
from the
定が進め
simulator.
ばいずれ横浜背部攻略時の教材にも触れるだろう。
As we advance in our training, we'll eventually use the data from the Yokohama hive as
だが
well.
それも彼らの自己犠牲なくして成功し得なかったんだ。
But our capture of this hive would not have been possible without their sacrifice.
我々兵士はボールクの名を決して忘れてはならない。
We service pilots must never forget the Volk
栄
Regiment.
誉あるボールク連隊の名を貴様たちの心に刻め。
Engrave their honor name into your hearts.
栄誉あるボールク連隊への感謝と敬意を忘れるな。
Never forget that we owe them the utmost gratitude and
栄誉あ
respect.
るボールク連隊の勇気を忘れるな。
Never forget their heroic sacrifice.
全員登場。
Alright, hop in. Oh yeah.
背部の内部構造略図を表示しろ。了解。ボールクデータには中階層までのデータしか存在しなかったので、それ以下の階層については横浜背部の構造を参照している。
The Volk data only goes to show down the middle strata, so anything left below is fabricated.
本実習の作戦目的は背部最深部にある反応炉を可及的速やかに破壊することだ。
The objective: destroy the reactor at the very bottom.
ミンスクと横浜での背部内におけるベータ出現率の統計と傾向段数及び平坦の限界を考慮すれば戦闘継続限界はおよそ90分。
You have 90 minutes to complete the operation. This is based on the statistics of beta emergence rates at the Minsk and Yokohama hives, along with ammo consumption rates and
出現する
resupply
ベータをい
lines.
ちいち相手にしていたらあっという間に丸腰になるぞ。
I didn't even hear him. If you try to fight every single beta that pops up, you'll be out of ammo. Old equipment or no, all these troops at the Minsk hive only lasted 3.5 hours, 14 made it out alive. You expect us to do that in 90 minutes? And in that case, the captain's right. It's all going to come down to quick thinking and on-the-spot decision-making. And in that context, the XM3 should be really powerful. Sensei wasn't just going along with an idea on a whim, huh?
最深部に到達した際は各機に装備されている
When you reach the reactor, use the S11 to destroy it. We're supposed to use the self-destruction device? What did the beta corner you on the way out? Are we just supposed to take solace in knowing that they'll get caught in the blast too? I know survival's not the top priority during infiltration missions, but if we're supposed to capture several hives in a
さっきも言
row...
ったが簡単に死ぬことは許さん。だが唯一貴様たちが死ぬことを許される場所が
I know I said that we can't have you dying, but this is a place I'll allow it. Keep it in
一
mind.
番奥だし静かでいいわね。
I bet it's nice and quiet there. Sounds like a resting place.
どの背部も入り口あたりはとっくに前
You're right, the entrances are usually crowded with sleeping soldiers. True enough, most infiltration efforts never get far past the entrance. I'm guessing after the Minsk operation, the beta probably reworked their defense strategies. Maybe we really couldn't have taken Yokohama without the G-bomb.
綾瀬、そういう軽口は中階層を突破してからにするんだな。
Hayase, save it for when you make it past the middle strata.
じゃあ
Good one. So even the Valkyries haven't made it past the middle
今回
strata?
の実習から XM3 搭載機の起動が再現可能となっている。前の結果を下回ったら基礎訓練から鍛え直してやるから覚悟しろよ。
Today's exercises also feature XM3 integration. If you don't break the old record, we're starting over from basic. Got it?
了解。
Roger. How much better is our equipment compared to what they had?
一概に比較はできないがスペック上であればボールク連隊の戦力を我が中隊は軽く上回っている。
It's not really possible to make a direct comparison, but the specs of our TSS are much higher than those of the Volk
例え
regiment.
ば F4 の性能も最新のブロック214型1機で当時の2個小隊と互角に戦えるはずだ。
I know. We used to have this argument all the time when I used to tell my cat snored. But you never believed me until now. For example, latest Block 214 FF4s can fly with about the same efficiency as two entire flights in models they were piloting.
OS を XM3 に換装したタイプであればそれ以上の結果になるだろう。
And now they've been upgraded to the XM3, which should
た
perform
だし
better.
それは数値上の比較に過ぎない。A 子の連動が低ければ宝の持ち腐れになることは
That comparison is only based on numerical data. If the surface pilot lacks experience, it doesn't matter what you put him in. It'll end in disaster. She's right. Specs aren't always a deciding factor. The fact that Captain Sagiri was able to make out a freaking raptor with a Shiranui's proof. Not that the Shiranui has bad specs, but the F-22 is a total beast in comparison. I'm sure Major Walken must have been a pretty accomplished pilot himself. The fact that Sagiri managed to beat the Major despite the disadvantage speaks volumes about his skill as a surface pilot. He knew how to get out 110% out of his Shiranui, that's for
補足に
sure.
なるが、今回は地上における陽動と支援は 100% 機能している前提で行う。当然今後、条件はシビアになっていくから、そのつもりでな。
Furthermore, today's exercise will be conducted on the assumption that support and divisionary efforts on this surface are 100% effective. We'll start increasing difficulty as time goes
ま
on.
た、今回は各人の能力を見るために、詳細なプランは事前に指示しない。
Also, the point is to evaluate individual strength to weakness. We're not going to follow a
各
plan.
自、与えられる情報と全ての状況から判断し、臨機応変にやれ。
Bro, we're not going to do that in the middle of a training arc. Each of you will have to use best judgment to evaluate the situation and respond accordingly. Oh, wow. The lads.
部隊編成を確認する。ストームヴァンガードは B 小隊、早瀬以下、白金、三剣、綾峰。
The positions are going to go as follows. B flight will be Storm Vanguard, Hayase, Shirogane, Mitsurugi, and Ayamine.
ライトウィングは A 小隊、私と榊、玉瀬、鎧。
A flight's going to be our right wing. Myself, Sakaki, Tamase, Yoroi.
レフトウィングは C 小隊、宗像以下、風間、鈴宮、柏木。
C flight's our left wing. Munokata, Kazama, Suzumiya, Kashiwagi.
戦域管制は鈴宮注意。コールはバル
Valkyrie Mum. Battle logistics will be handled by Lieutenant Suzumiya. Her call sign, Valkyrie Mum.
バルキリーマムより中隊各機作戦開始まで360秒並走および機体のチェックを開始せよ
Valkyrie Mum to all units. The operation will commence in 360 seconds. Begin running checks on
今
weapons.
回は標準的な突入戦並走が選択されている。並走チェックで各自与えられたポジションを再
For
認
this
識しろ。
operation, we've selected standard infiltration weaponry. Make sure your weapons match positions. Type 87 assault cannon on the right, Type 92 on the left, 4 extra grips 36mm, 2 120mm, 2 melee blades, 2 knives. Yep, standard equipment for Storm Vanguard. Ayase, Maya, Ayamine, and me. It's plain as day what a captain is expecting from us. Suzumiya would kill to be in my shoes. Let's see, the wing flights over on 1 TSF have a Type 92 guided missile launcher, 4 assault cannons, support cannons, and the leaders are equipped to this us in the
現在の小
Vanguard.
隊編成はあくまでデータのみを参考に決めた暫定的なものだ。今回の実習中にも何度か入れ替えて適
I
正
should
を
note these arrangements are temporary and based off of current data. We're going to change them frequently during the exercise to determine your best
だ
rule.
が部隊の全員が全てのポジションを水準以上にこなせることが最終目標である
But that
こと
does
は
not
変
change
わ
the
りはない
fact that our ultimate goal is for each of you to excel in whatever position you place in. Keep that in mind.
白金は三剣と組め基本は他部隊との連携だが後方部隊の支援ばかり当てにするな
Shirogane, work with me, Tsurugi. While we want to look out for each other, you can't be too focused on backing up your support wings. Always focus on moving forward and creating openings on your own. Understood.
後方に位置する機体が前に出た機体を常にバックアップするんだ
Got that? The TSFs in the rear are there to back up the ones in the
綾
front.
峰は私と組め
Amine, you're with
了
me.
解バルキリーマムよりバルキリー1作戦開始5秒前
Valkyrie Mom to Valkyrie 1, operations in 5
バル
seconds.
キリー1了解。前期起動。
Valkyrie 1 copy, all units move out. Advance forward, eliminate any hostiles.
B 小隊は進路を切り開く
This is epic.
体型はアローヘッド
I
は
like the whole HUD
ベータと接触しても
and
3
the
回
call
するな
signs
よ
and everything.
立ち止まるな常に動き続けるんだ
I hope we have a music change so when the operation starts. Be flat, we're in charge of clearing your path. Arrowhead 1. Do not break formation.
了解
Why am I so on edge right now? It's not like I could actually die here. Maybe it's just because I haven't piloted in a while? Or maybe. Was I that badly traumatized? No, I wouldn't be sitting here. I'm cool as a cucumber. I forced myself to undergo
バ
hypnotherapy.
ルキリ
This
ーマ
isn't
ムよ
getting
り
to
中
me.
隊各機大隊規模のベータ軍接近中一時の方向距離4500
Valkyrie Mom to all units. Battalions, well, here's your chance. Battalion size swarm at beta is approaching your position. Distance 4,500. They're coming!
バンデットインゲージ
顔を出すタイミングで戦闘のデカブツを狙う。
We has cutscene.
使うなよ。
I'm so tense, but hey, at least this will be a good way to contact my fears.
了解
I'm not backing down.
バルキリーマムより中隊各機中隊規模のベータ軍接近中10時の方向距離2000
Squadron size swarm approaching from 10 o'clock. Distance. Hold on. Never mind. Distance 2,000.
バルキリー1より前期に次ぐ H48 の
Oh, the radar! I didn't see that. Good eye. Valkyrie 1 to all units. We're cutting to Hall B7 to shaft H48. When I fire missiles, boost jump. Weapons free. I saw that. Yeah, for the backers of the Kickstarter, you got a Destroyer class plushie. B Flight, let's move your Storm Vanguards. You don't dishonor our name. Valkyrie 3 to all blast guards. Open fire. What? After everything that's happened, I was a little worried about having a hard time to get in the cockpit. I'm glad it wasn't an issue. My beta-related trauma is under control now. God, what a tease! Are you kidding? My first experience with hypnotherapy left a horrible taste in my mouth, but it was definitely the right move to do it again. I don't think I ever would have had the nerve to go through with it. The captain hadn't forced me to. This world has developed a lot of sneaky tactics to compel people to fight, though I suppose that's to be expected. Now then, to go ask Cass me about the rabbit. I'm assuming she got the image from my memories, but on the off chance she read it from Sumika's mind, it'd be a good idea. Hey, you're getting along!
小指は下を通してください。あ、絡まりました。
Kasumi.
ごめんなさい。だけど、これしか知らないから、もう一度、最初からやりましょう。
Sensei said Kasumi thinks that Sumika is an alter ego, but if you ask me, they're two halves of a single person. Kasumi has no memories of her own, unless you count all the negative ones from being a test subject in a laboratory. And maybe the reason she's trying to teach Sumika's Krat's Cradle is because it's the only happy memory she has.
こうして。はい、そうです。そしたら、親指を通して。
Kasumi has big shoes. Is she reacting to something?
そこは。
No.
違う。
That's wrong. Huh? Huh? Hey! Whoa! This is new! She's never reacted to Kasumi before. This is great! I mean, since when has she ever shown any interest in Cat's Cradle? Yeah, no cap. Middle finger goes first. That's it? You're doing it? Sumika, what? You put your middle finger through the hole and then, and then? No more. What? She's responding to me. She's not freaking out. It's going great. No more what? Hello, Sumika. No more training. What? I want to do more training. Is she talking about all the surface pilots training that Sensei has to go through? It's a touchy subject since it indirectly relates to the beta, and I don't want to risk another opportunity to have her give her a panic attack, but I'm not going to risk this. Come on, Sumika. Cat's Cradle is way more fun than boring training. But I need training to kill them. I don't need this. No. Your training's on a set schedule, so just be patient. Can I kill them with this? Absolutely. No, this is just a game. It's not designed to kill anything. It's fun. Don't care about that. I'd rather be killing. What are you talking about? Playing around is way more fun than killing things. I need to kill them all. I need to train. Sumika, what the hell? Oh. I'll kill all of them. Every last one. She's responding to me, but it's the same. I want to kill right now them all. I don't care about this. Stop it. No games, just want to kill. Kill them all. Sumika. You can't rush this. I know, I'm sorry, I got carried away. I know we can't rush this, I really do, but I can't stand to see you this way. And no cap. Want to kill right now. Oh, even worse. Bible thumper. They took Taku away from me, I'll make them pay. No, look, I'm right here. Don't do this. Not another panic attack. I'm sorry. It's gonna be okay. Calm down, I'm here. Everything's fine. No one's gonna hurt you, not while I'm around you, okay? It's gonna be alright. There's nothing to be afraid of. I'm here beside you. This is your favorite version of Sumikuro. I'll never let anything scary happen to you again.
だけるじゃ
Huh. She's talking to me?
どうして
Oh.
いなくなっちゃったの
Why did you leave me alone? What do you mean? I'm right here.
どうしてどうしてどうしてどうしてだよ
Why did you leave me? Sumiko.
やだもうやめてやめてやめてやめてやめてよ
Stop, make it stop, make it stop. Sumiko. Is there really nothing I could do for you? Do I just have to hold you like this until subsides? Is that the only way I could help? Tell me what happened.
めちゃくちゃにしないでお願いしないで
I won't. No one's gonna hurt you.
しないでお願いもうやめて壊さないでもう許してよ
Sumika, please calm down. I'm begging you.
壊さない私を壊さないでよ
Snap out of it.
触るな触るな触るな触るな触るな
What am I supposed to do?
離してよ
Come back to us, please.
離してよお願いだよお願いだからお願いしますだからもうやめて
Sumika.
いや
When I saw her start reacting to you, I got my hopes up and thought it would be a good opportunity to make
急い
progress.
じゃダメです
Well, you can't rush her. I know, but still. Maybe I'm just going about this wrong. I can't help but feel like the main reason she keeps losing it is because it's the more I talk to her, and then the worse the panic attacks get.
信じてください
Don't give up hope. Well, I won't.
はい
Thank you. Still, after how violently she reacted today, I have to wonder if it's a good idea to give her a Christmas present at all. She could connect something as harmless as Cat's Cradle to Beta. Why would a Christmas present be
喜
different?
びますよきっと
No, I'm sure she'll love it. You think?
スミカさん喜びます
Sumika will love it. I was gonna ask Cosme about Mr. Bun. I totally
Usa-san.
spaced.
ですか
What about him? Did you get them as a present for someone, or?
いいえ私がスミカ
It
さん
was
のた
right.
めに
I
作
made
り
it for
ました
Sumika. I had a feeling you did, but then why keep it for
それ
yourself?
は私が下手だから
Because it wasn't any good. What do you mean?
何度やっても元のイメージには似なく
I
て
tried many times, but I couldn't get it to the images like I saw.
スミカさんの思い出壊したく
I
な
didn't
い
want
か
to
ら
ruin Sumika's memory, so I just kept it. Now that explains that. But you did get the image from her.
そうですけどよくわかりません
I did, but there's something I don't understand, which is
あなたの中に見えるもう一人の
it
私
has to do with the other me, the one I see in you. Oh, the one from the previous
知
timeline.
ってますでも
Well, I know, but
私はウサさんが大
I
好
love
きです
Mr. Bun. Yeah, you do.
でもあなたの中に見えるもう一人の私はウサさんを持ってい
But when
ない
I looked into your memories, the other me didn't have Mr. Bun. What do you mean?
考えすぎなんだと思います
Perhaps I'm overthinking, but
だけど私は本当にそれがスミカさんの思い出な
I'm
の
no
か
longer
は
sure if you came directly from
わかりません。
Sumika's memories. I see, but you did start making it before you read my mind, right? Right. Well, that's good enough for me. In that case, I could at least be sure that Sumika had some sort of memories about rabbits. I don't remember Cosme having Mr. Bun in the previous timeline, but that just might be because we never shared a
そうか
room.
もしれません
That could be it.
ごめんなさい
I can't be sure. Nah, don't apologize. It's not. Huh?
あらまだいたの
Oh, you're still here? How's Sumika's progress looking?
いい傾向だとは言ってもさすがに日に何度もこれじゃ量子電動脳に負荷がかかりすぎるわ
Well,
ね
she's improving, but these episodes take a toll on her quantum conductor brain, especially when she has them several times a day. Several times a day?
朝から数えて今ので5回目の発作なの
What you just saw was the 5th time today. They happen even when I don't see her then? So, her reacting to Cosme earlier wasn't out of the
そうよ
blue.
確実に変化している証拠ね今のところ
あんたはちゃんと結果を積み重ねているわ。
I know there's going to be a pretty nasty flashback that's going to show probably her getting absolutely ripped to shreds and him just vibing in the corner. That's right, this proves that she's making significant progress. What you're doing, it's working. It doesn't feel that way, though. Personally, I'm not convinced I'm actually helping her at all. If anything, it just makes it seem like making her more and more
バイタ
unstable.
ルデータの統計と00ユニット。失礼。彼女の発言を見る限り、その逆よ。
Judging from its... No, sorry. Her vital charts, I'd say the exact opposite is true. Or speech patterns and
デ
vital
ータに
charts.
対する憎悪以外の言葉を口にするのは、あんたがいる時だけよ。
You know, whenever you're around, it's the only time she utters a word that doesn't have to do with the
あ
beta.
んたがいなかった4回の発作では、ベータへの憎悪だけなの。操縦訓練をすると、ピタッと収まるけど。
During the 4 episodes you weren't here for, she went into blind fits of rage, but she always calms down as soon as we start training. She did mention to train when she first started to freak out. It's probably therapeutic to her in
と
a
にかく
sense.
あんたに任せてからは日々目覚ましい進展があるわ。
Anyway, ever since I put you in charge, she's been making extraordinary progress. Keep up the
今
good
日は
work.
もうこのまま休止状態。ごめんなさい。
I'll put her in
寝
sleep
か
mode
せ
for
る
the
から
night.
上がっていいわ
Put
よ。
her to bed, I mean. You're free to go now. You really don't have to rephrase everything like that. Just because I'm treating her like a human doesn't mean you don't have to.
これでも気を使ってるつもりなんだけど。
I was just trying to be considerate. As long as you treat me like she's the real one, it's good enough for me.
白がね。分かってるとは思うけど。
I'm sure you're aware, but we're talking about a machine. I'm
私
aware.
は自分に都合がいい結果さえ出れば。
I guess I don't care what you do as long as it gets results, but look, I can't pretend I don't have feelings for her, but I'm not going to let that get in my way of the mission.
そう。余計なことだったわね。
Alright then. Forgive me for jumping to conclusion. It's fine. After the way I've behaved, it makes sense you'd have doubts. The only way I can regain her trust is to keep producing results, so I can't blame her for doubting me. After all, she's only skeptical because I've given her a good reason to be.
じゃあ、また明日ね。
See you tomorrow then. Oh, hang on real quick.
何？
What is it? I wanted to ask you about
ヤシロのリ
something.
ーディング報告書ならまだだけど。
If it's about the Yashua reading reports, they're not in yet. No. I was wondering if I could get my hands on a kind of toy. A toy? Yeah, like Sumiko Christmas present.
なるほど。ヤシロでもソースの特定はできない。
I see, so even Yashiro can't pinpoint where she got it from. But since Kasumi didn't read the image from me, that means it has to be from Sumiko. Kasumi shares Sumiko's memories and tasties. The fact that she's so smitten with that stuffed animal says a lot. I see. I think that giving Sumiko a replacement Santa Rabbit would evoke a fond memory. I feel like that might be what we need to break through the sadness and hatred. Maybe she'll start feeling positive emotions again after that.
あんたの言いたいことは理解できた。
I see what you're trying to say. Couldn't hurt to try. Ideally, I want to give it to her on Christmas, but that wouldn't leave time to reap the benefits prior to practical assessment. So I think it'll be fine if I give it to her beforehand.
まあ、それでも十分効果はあるでしょうけど、問題は別にあるわね。
Well, I'm sure it'll be effective either way, but there's another problem to consider, which is...
ヤシロが言ってたことが、実は意外に大きいんじゃないかって。
I think you might want to give what Yashiro said a bit more heed. Well, what?
さっき話してたわよね。鏡すみかの思い出を壊すから、似なかったぬいぐるみは自分で持ってるって。
Do you remember what she told you? She didn't want to ruin Kagami Sumika's memories by giving her a stuffed rabbit that didn't match the one she knew.
鏡すみかと記憶や思考を共有しているヤシロがそう言ってるのよ。既製品で、しかもアメリカのセンスで作られた。
Yashiro knows better than anyone what Kagami Sumika would like. Do you really think some mass-produced American toy would match her memories? Oh, good
だ
point.
としたら、あんたが作るしか
In
ない。
other words, make it yourself. You expect me to make a keychain by hand?
そう。あんたが自分で思いを込めて作ったものなら、イメージのギャップはクリアで
That's
きるは
right.
ず
If you pour your heart into it, maybe it'll compensate for the fact it doesn't match up with memories. I can't remember exactly what it looked like. Can I get Cosme to show me
それ
then?
にね、00ユニットはそのプレゼントを受け取ったとき、あんたをリーディングするでしょうね。
Plus, you gotta remember that the 00 unit will do a reading on you at the moment you give it to her. Right, Sumika has the ability
白
to.
金が持っているそのプレゼントに関する記憶
She'll read any memories of
あんたが
yours that you
関連づけて
associate
る
with
限
that
り
present. Huh?
だから人に用意してもらったとかじゃなく、あんたが心を込めて一生懸命作ったという記憶も
Which means she'd
一
see
緒
the
に渡
memories
す
of you
こと
pouring
に
your
な
heart
る。
and soul into making it as well. You wouldn't get that if you just used something store-bought. That does sound like a good idea then.
材料だけはこっちで用意するわ。必要なものを言
I'll
って
get
ちょ
you
う
any
だい。
materials you need then. Just name them. I'll try and find them myself. It'll probably be more meaningful that way. I'll just need your help getting the more specific stuff like the clasps and
わ
whatnot.
かったわ。
It's freezing out here. The only material I got in this world that's easy to work with? Wood. Oh, my ear's about to fall off, but at least I didn't come back empty-handed. This was a great idea. I gathered up a bunch of branches from the infamous tree on the hill behind the school. I've heard it's hard to work with live bark, so I just nabbed branches. That way I'll have some memories of my world Sumika attached to it. It's flawless. I could reinforce the parts that need to be extra sturdy with a wireframe, then attach the wood using emergency armor repair putty. It hardens fast, but not so hard I can't cut it with a knife. I managed to get my hands on some sandpaper, and I could use the knife in my survival kit. As for coloring, I'll just ask the mechanics for some paint. They probably don't have any pink, so I'll just mix some myself. I'm just going to recreate the image Cosme projected to me, so it all depends on my craftsmanship skills. I never thought that modding I did on toy cars as a kid might come in handy. That being said, modding stuff and making things from scratch are two completely different beasts. The fact that Cosme couldn't get it right just puts more pressure on me. Well, I'm just going to make it happen. After all, I've got plenty of branches to work with. If at first I don't succeed, you know what to do. I got a mission at dawn tomorrow, so if I cut my sleeping time to 2 hours, I'll have 5 to work on this. I gotta finish this thing and get this back to Sumika. She's gonna love this. I know I told Yuko I'm not gonna let my feelings get in the way, but it's hard to detach myself. This is gonna lead to humanity's victory and my chance to restore other timelines. I'm sure of that. Getting Sumika back to normal, first step on the road. I have to do this. It's the only way she'll ever be able to function properly as a 0-0 unit and keep Alternative 5 supporters at bay. The only question is whether I can get her working well enough to change the skeptics' minds. If I can't convince everyone that she's our best shot at salvation, I might really have to get the hands dirty. And if it comes to that, will I ever be able to face up to the consequences as bravely as Her Highness did? Alright, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. I hope you guys have a nice night. Sorry for cutting it a little early or starting so late. I was watching UFC tonight. Tomorrow we'll be back regular scheduled time, probably mid to late 9 o'clock. And we'll try and go for another 3 hours tomorrow. Hopefully we can finish up episode 8. Thank you guys again. Have a nice night, everyone.